Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining. We're just going to give it a few more minutes just for people to join the webinar. If you're just joining, we're just giving it a few more minutes for people to join the webinar before we kick off. You can see we've got some more people coming in. If you're just joining us, we're just waiting for a few more people to join and then we'll begin. While we're just waiting for a few more people, I will just highlight a few reminders for everybody, just in terms of housekeeping for the webinar. So take your time just to have a look through about some tips for this webinar. If you're just joining, we're just about to begin. So just a few housekeeping tips for this webinar. And with that, I think we could probably begin. So I guess just one thing, just to test out everybody's reactions. Could you try a thumbs up or some other form of emoji just to see if we can get you testing out some of the features on this great webinar tool? We'd love for you to also use those emojis throughout, just as you relate to the content online as well. So let's see if we can get some thumbs up or some smiley face emojis coming through. Great, thank you. Do love a love heart in there as well. So good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Protiviti's Cyber Awareness Month webinar series, which tackles cyber vigilance, ensuring safety in the digital age. My name is Lauren Cave, an Associate Director in our Digital Identity and Cyber team, and I'm facilitating this very exciting series of 5 webinars designed to enhance your understanding and awareness of some very topical and relatable areas of cyber risk. This is our 4th webinar in our Cyber Awareness series, and I'd like to thank you all for joining today to learn more about how you can protect yourself, organization, and family in our increasingly digital world. We have been covering a range of topics in this series that are critical to maintaining cybersecurity both at work and at home. Our expert speakers will be sharing insights, best practices, and practical tips that can be implemented immediately. So please do ask questions throughout the presentation using the Q&A feature. We will have some time at the end of the session to address as many of those questions as possible. Last week, we covered the topic of protecting our aging population from cyber threats. And this week's webinar is establishing a secure digital identity environment for your kids with expert speakers Gagan Arora and Rithi Harish, who are both members of our cybersecurity team. So while we're all still grouping together, just on kids and their security online, we have one poll question we'd really love you to start with. So the first question here, this question here is, what concerns you most about your child's online activity? So you can select by selecting the answer on the screen: exposure to inappropriate content, cyberbullying, online privacy and data security, excessive screen time, or online predators. So please select on the screen A, B, C, D, or E, and we'll have a look at some of those responses. Okay, we'll wait for a few more to come through and then we can have a look. Okay, fantastic. Let's move to the next and let's see what people are thinking. Exposure to inappropriate content. We've also got a touch on online privacy and data security, excessive screen time, and online predators. So these are all very topical and all contents of this presentation that are going to be covered today. So with that, I'm going to hand you over to Gagan Arora, who's going to take you through the first stage of this presentation. Thanks, everybody.
Lauren, thank you so much for the warm introduction. I welcome everyone to our webinar. It's a pleasure for me to co-present on this topic today. Being a father myself, I've come across many challenges in case of my kids, and there are things that I've done well, and there are things that I could have done well. But I'm very pleased that we are sharing our experience on this platform today. We have packed agenda, as you can see. There are mainly two points I think we're covering predominantly. The one is, why is this an issue? Which I think most of us are already aware, but we'll talk about some key points. And the second category is, what strategies can you apply? So we'll cover those two things today. So without delay, let's jump in. Now, why this is a hot topic. Now, before I get in there, I think you can see some stuff there in terms of why exactly is an issue. But before that, we have to understand, and it's already well recognized, that internet is an amazing thing. It has given our society immense benefits. It's like a magic portal to the world of knowledge, enhancing social life, enabling business models, and fundamentally connecting us all in this ever-changing dynamic world. So when it comes to kids, I believe they're already born in an era where internet is part of their life. They're exposed to so much content on and via the internet. So there is no doubt that it is an important element in their development process now, right? So while there is a significant focus on kids learning many skills, like starting with cycling and swimming, I think it's really important for kids to understand, and for us to understand, how to defend ourselves in a hyper-connected online world. So you can see again some of the things here, like, oh yeah, it has impact on mental health, data privacy concerns, kids accessing inappropriate content online, some sort of bad actors online doing something. I think those risks are there, and they're growing more and more as we're getting exposed to, and our kids are getting exposed to, so many different new things on the internet. There's a lot of research that has happened in this domain. And again, I'm not going to bore you with all those stats. To be honest, I think there's already a lot of numbers there. But there are two key things that come out, which I think we will all recognize. And again, as I said, being a father, I know this is already impacting. Is number one is the kids, they're keen to jump online. Now, whether they want to do gaming, whether they want to go into school and they want to own a mobile phone, they want to get into social media, and access to personal devices and social media is growing. And I think that's the kind of key indicator why we are facing this issue and why we'll continue to face this issue, because it's not going to slow down. In fact, it's going to evolve into something big. So I'm going to hand over to Riti, who's going to talk about some risk and some strategies, how we all can use some of these points and some of these things you can take away to apply at home, and hope to let's keep our kids safe in online environment. Riti, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Gagan. Thank you for the wonderful intro. I am going to take you through some of the risks that are challenges that poses, that converts it automatically into challenges for parents. A mother myself with two kids, one teen, and one will be a teen in a few years' time. I have implemented my own. I think it's different in every family, but I want to take you through some of the challenges that internet presents in the lives of our children. The online, presence, children's growing online presence, that, they are spending more time than ever. And as per, I think the numbers and statistics, a child connects to internet every half second, which is which is quite, horrifying for me as a parent. Opportunities, like Gagan mentioned earlier, there's endless opportunities out there. Creative thinking, learning, social networking opportunities, gaming, which is part of growing kids' life. We don't know there are a lot of risks that's behind those opportunities. The second topic I'm going to introduce is the cyberbullying and violence, which is very common among adults. I think if adults can't handle it, you can imagine the impact that can have on children. It can cause emotional damage to an extent where we cannot comprehend. It can lead to anxiety, depression. As kids are figuring out, their personalities, these factors at a very young age, that can create low self-esteem, suicidal ideation, whatnot. As per UNICEF, continuous online harassment are often hidden from parents and caregivers, significantly affecting the victim's well-being, which is very important because take out the internet from your life. Even when kids are growing up, their transition from a toddler to teenager, they are going through a lot already. And on top of all these things happening around them, it's hard for parents to keep up. The behavioral impact of exposure to violent content, that's another thing I want to cover. I don't want to go into detail, but it can distort a child's perception of reality. Whatever they see, through internet, it's not reality. I think it's 80% of the time, it's fake. I think that's important information about how they identify what's fake and what's not fake, or what's real. That's crucial. Then parental control and protection. There are so many tools that we can use, which I'll present later in this session. And moving on to next part is privacy risks. As such, we know how much digital footprint can cause harm. Tech companies often collect children's data for marketing. That's a direct violation of their privacy. Impact of excessive screen time. I think that's one of the hot topics among growing children. That's driven by targeted ad. They click on one thing, that leads to another thing, and that leads on to another thing. And it can negatively impact children's development. Online exploitation is something I think adults can't even figure out how to navigate through that. So risk of online exploitation, it's sexual exploitation and abuse, which often I think being a teen won't come to their parents. That's where as parents, we need to be really on point with how you interact with your kids. Threats from online offenders. Kids do not have that judgmental, that thought about who is approaching them. Are they safe to be interacted with? Then grooming and coercion risks. Grooming and coercion for creating and sharing explicit materials is another threat that our children, the younger community is facing. That's all about the challenges we have. I know it's a lot, but we have to be one at a time, just maintaining the relationship with your child to start with. Moving on to next slide. How do you ensure a safe internet usage? Sorry, I think, yeah. So I've set a few points here. Time limits. Make sure, I know that there are all their classwork, children's classwork, it's more through internet, Google Classrooms and everything. There is, you cannot control the amount of time they spend sometimes due to classwork. At least, what I follow personally is during a working week, we all work and we look forward to the weekend. So similar way, just sticking to, Monday to Friday policy about just focus on classwork and less entertainment. That's one policy that I follow in my family. Then approve websites and apps. Create a list of safe educational sites and apps, and make sure you monitor your children's mobile usage by making sure they don't know time, in regular intervals. Involve children in setting rules. Make sure why it's important for them. It's, there's all the time in the world for them to, get up to speed, but they're already getting up to speed. And where we can restrict is the amount of time they are spending. So get them to, set the rules, and they really enjoy, like from my personal experience, they enjoy setting the rules, sticking the timelines, leading by example. We all rely on smart devices for our work, our personal lives, everything. It's through, it's on our fingertips. So children, they are young, their developmental age. Parents are their superheroes. They look up to them, us as parents, and they mirror whatever we do. So what we can do is just staying away and making sure, consciously making the effort to make sure that you spend time with your children and not, have your mobile or other entertainment while that child need your attention. So they are observing 24/7. Engage frequently. So having one-to-one conversation as a dad or as a mom, have that conversation with your kids to make sure they understand, and just to check in, not just for about online use or internet use. It's just having that personal connection. They will feel comfortable coming to you if they have a problem, no matter whatever it's online or other personal issues. Another thing is creating a family digital agreement, device-free zones, online behavior rules. What you can even walk them through some examples from your experience, that these are some of the real things that you can you can see in internet, and opposed to this, what they are showing is, with AI and everything, you can't even understand what's real and what's fake out there. For adults also, it's quite hard. Tech-based rewards. So if you set rules, good thing to make sure is you do not give rewards in terms of giving screen time. That's not going to help you. So spend more time with them, doing board games, having other activities outdoors. So giving reward, screen time as reward or punishment won't give you the results that you expect. Develop positive environment in a calm, distraction-free and welcoming space, so they are comfortable. Kids are comfortable coming back to you as your parents or caregivers to have that conversation with you. Yeah, that's all on here. There is a question for you to pick your favorite answer. Which of the following strategies do you currently use to ensure your child's online safety? Give a few seconds the answers to come in. Yeah, it's coming through. Yeah, the numbers are rising. Thank you. Thank you for the response. Yeah, I think we can see. It's coming up again. A few more seconds. Yeah, go on to the next one to see the results. Okay, that's interesting. No specific strategy. Parental control software, that's a good one. Monitoring social media and app usage. Educating them about online risks. Yes, that's quite important. That's the starting point, really. Setting time limits on device usage. Yes, absolutely. I love the answers. So moving on, that ties in with what I'm going to take you through next. So I already discussed some of these, but making sure you create awareness among your kids, that importance of trust. That's where everything starts. Staying informed. So if there is, for example, the introduction of AI, make sure what that can do, what, you should also talk about the benefits, not just the negatives to children. That, if you find a music video which is, quite good for your kid, you should definitely share with them, and, stay informed. Early intervention, like I mentioned, that to develop that trust, you have to make sure you have that bond with your children, and routine discussions I've already. So this is just a highlight of what I've already covered as well. Boundaries and rules, I've already mentioned that. Collaborative rule making, you never know, kids are very smart and they can propose, interesting rules as well. My kids even, come up with great ideas which I never, had in my mind. I never thought about it. Reinforce positive behaviors. So it's really good, if you see that behavior, unexpected from your children, just make sure they are rewarded, and congratulate them for that responsive behavior, that they are demonstrating. Digital footprint awareness, what that can cause later in their lives, because as an adult, I think internet came when I was in school or something, but they are, like Gagan mentioned earlier, the younger children in this generation, they are born with a device in hand. That's where we live now. So it's quite important to make sure that they understand what's the impact of their online activity. Managing online risks, addressing distrusting content, recognizing known threats, and that just share information with them, and also take feedback with them, because sometimes you create a set of rules that may not work in like 6 months time. As technology is evolving, as the content over the internet is evolving, we need to make sure we are on point. Empowering with online safety education, make sure they think through before they act. That's one thing I personally encourage my kids to do. Just don't jump and do things. Just make sure, is that the right thing for you or not? Safe choices that will lead to naturally, safe choices. Ongoing learning. Yeah. So we are also learning. Just share, what you learn about the evolving technology and what's good for them, what's not good for them. Keep educating them. I think there are a few questions coming in. Gagan, do you want to pick one question and answer?
Yeah, sure. We can do now, or we can do after we finish the slides.
Yeah, that's fine. So I'm introducing you to some of the available tools for monitoring, which some of the, I think, attendees picked already, that they use various tools for managing their children's devices and content. So content filtering is a great, at source, you filter the content and make sure that no irrelevant, you can, block websites, adding blocks to some of the websites, you can do that. Time management tools, softwares are available. Blocking capabilities are available as well. I think the digital age, I think the age for social media is 13 plus, which is, kids are not adults yet. So I was setting up, for example, a new phone for my child who's 14. And then I was trying to set it up as young, like as a parent, setting up it for a child. And it was not letting, because it requires, if it's the child device, it requires the child to be only 12 years, up to 12 years. After 12 years, you are setting up the phone as you normally for an adult, which was a new thing for me. I didn't even expect that. Ease of use, cross-platform compatibility. These tools offer a lot of positive features. Location tracking, which is crucial. Sometimes, if you try to reach, not just not to track children where they are, but making sure that they are reachable, and if you cannot contact you, which is really beneficial. Wi-Fi filters is something you can create. It's like so you can cut content at source. It's like a family filter. I strongly encourage parents to use that and have another channel for parents to connect to internet to access everything. Social media monitoring is another thing. I think there's so much out there, but there isn't too much to control that yet, but I think it's evolving. Some of the apps we have found was like Custodio, Net Nanny, Bark, family time and not in family. I think there are more, but these are the, I think, top ones that come up in our research. That's all I had. I'll hand over to Gagan. Before we move on, we can pick some questions.
Yeah, sure. There's some good, interesting questions coming, so we'll jump on those. In terms of closing thoughts, now I think there's a need to take a very holistic approach on this. Now, if you see the first one, which I personally like a lot, is lead by example. Kids actually, they are very quick to challenge in terms of when they are being controlled, but when parents, we are pretty much using social media and phones all the time. So I do feel the strategy is to just show that, look, we'll also be very vigilant, we're also being very careful, and we use it when it needs to be used. So that is the best strategy. I've seen it works very well. As Riti mentioned, plan device-free play dates. I think especially for kids who are younger, distraction is the best strategy. If you can distract them and move them somewhere else, make them do certain other things, the progression into how they adopt these things is slows down up to a certain level, to a certain extent, but not a lot, because as you know, it's happening everywhere. It's pervasive. But you can slow it down by actually getting them involved in various other things. Discuss consequences. I think this is the one which I really enjoy because, and again, this is not the consequences for the kids. It's actually when we actually see certain things, or maybe we see certain is somebody's trying to get some information or something. It happens all the time. And I'm very keen that I always openly discuss with my kids. Hey, you know what? I got approached by someone, yeah, and just explain and see. Well, this is an issue, and if we try and not be vigilant, then how it can go wrong. I think that's something which is very important for them to know. That as parents, we're also thinking as well. Privacy settings, some technical measures. Yes, it is important, very important. Manage digital habits. So that's again, which is again linking to the first point. Lead by example. I know we're talking about screen time limits, but I think that probably applies to us too. So that's where the lead by example, that probably going to work better than we actually directing and controlling, hey, what you can, I can't do. Can work with the younger kids, but probably won't work with kids that are actually getting into teenage. Questions and discuss what they see. And I think that's again very important as well, is also discussion on, hey, what they see, sometimes it's very easy for us to actually figure out if child who's sitting on YouTube, you can actually watch their behavior and you can actually watch them and see that they may be reacting to something what they're seeing. So for us too, is very important to be just vigilant and be there and understand and listen. I think that's and discuss. I think that's really very important. And monitor digital trends. I think we also need to be aware what's happening around us. New social media platforms emerging, new techniques emerging, new trends are happening online. These days, everyone talks about, hey, this sort of trend on Instagram, and that's happening. That's what's happening on TikTok. We need to be vigilant. We need to be aware of what's happening. And we need to understand what our kids are doing and monitor it accordingly. Again, in a very healthier way. So it's not just, as I said, a tech strategy. I would say I would use a typical consulting language, people, process, technology. I would say it's a combination of all three. Even at home, that applies. If you try and control only with tech, it doesn't work. We can talk about questions now. Lauren, can I hand over to you now?
Yes, absolutely. And there have been a few that have come through from the chat, and we've got a few that have been provided to us prior to the webinar series as well from guests. So maybe if we start from this webinar today, how do you tailor your strategy to be age appropriate?
I can take that. So to start with age, so you can bracket like 3 to 7, like a toddler to school age kids. I can share my personal strategy. There's no phone, there's no personal phone, which worked really well in my family. And you can always help them when they access content for homework, you, as a parent, you can't just leave your 3 to 7-year-old to just operate a computer or go to Google Classroom. So you can always co-viewing and co-playing with them when the games, or as just to make sure they are viewing the appropriate content. Just for 3 to 7 years, you have to be pretty strict during that age. So 8 to 12, that's when they transition from a primary school age to secondary. That's the time when they start to enjoy being responsible. So take them in the, in that journey. Constant education and awareness, teach online etiquette and safety. It's same like, we talk about good touch and bad touch. Is it good, is it safe to speak to strangers online? No. How to make sure that you are not talking to a harmful stranger. So, constant education, it's applicable all across, throughout, which age group your kids are. 13 to 18, encourage, them to be self-regulated, educate on privacy, the data they provide across online platforms. These are some of the strategies I can think of.
Great, thanks, Reethi. If we look at another question as well from this webinar, so how can I better control what they see on social media, such as TikTok or an Instagram?
Yeah, sure, Lauren. I can take this one. So I would say there's no silver bullet. I think it's something which is, again, a challenge. It has been a challenge for me. It has been a challenge, I know, for many parents in terms of what their kids see. So it really depends on, again, the age of your kids, right? I mean, if they're younger kids, there are platforms which will allow you to control which platform they go to. For example, like, let's say YouTube as an example, there's a YouTube Kids, right? But as kids grow, the YouTube Kids for them is like nothing, right? They probably want to go with the proper YouTube channel. So, but again, there are some ways. Now, as I said, again, it's a combination of, as I say, always use like people, process, technology, right? That works. It's very important for, let's say, kids Instagram. I don't know how easy it is, but I try to be like, hey, if your kids on Instagram, if they've grown up at the age they can open Instagram accounts, just in this example, follow them, follow their friends. Just be friendly, create that sort of environment there where you trust each other. Yeah, I think that's the best strategy. Because in social media, it is very difficult to control what they will end up seeing. So again, it's a combination of which platform they use and how you can collaborate with them on their platforms. I think that's also important. I mean, I know that the kids probably would say, well, no, we don't want to follow and then each other. But again, that's the kind of strategy, that the soft part that we can play.
Okay, we have another question here. So in terms of applying strategies to help keep our children safe, what in your experience has both worked well and what hasn't worked well?
I can take that as well. So what I would say what hasn't worked well is again to the point about when we try to enforce control from a technology standpoint. Hey, we're gonna block them what they can see. We're gonna block them how much they can use. We're gonna maybe install some apps on their mobile phones, and so that we can monitor what they can do and see. It works to a certain extent. It works to a certain age, but after that, it doesn't work. It creates some trust issue. So for me, it's very halfway. It won't work as easily. It should, right? But what has worked well is when you try and bring other elements into this, which is basically more about building trust with your kids. Create that environment where you can actually discuss all these sort of things yourself. Give them some freedom and let them actually come back to you, say, oh, I saw this today, and have some discussion around that. So for me, I think is again combination of people plus tech. It's not just, if you enforce just technology, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Lauren, next question.
Yes, sure. So another one here. Do I need to worry about my kids' internet-connected devices?
Yes. First answer is yes. you should know as a parent, you should have fullest visibility unless they are an adult or, at that responsible age. You have to make sure that you can track MAC addresses. I think, you can see in your router that which all devices are connected, and you can filter them, and you have to make sure that, whatever devices your kids have, you have to buy them for them, right? So yes, that's you have to know, what are devices are connected. They have Google or Alexa in their room. What are they talking? What are they asking? You have to monitor everything. Yeah.
Yeah, I would also add, it's very common, and even nowadays schools are giving devices to the kids to be able to, again, depending on the age, to actually do their work, do some research online, find stuff, and while they actually also put some controls around those things, the message that we are actually as parents hearing from school is that parents, be vigilant, be aware that your kids are actually going online and doing these things, and so that we can actually identify any early signs of any issues or anything that they're seeing. So I wouldn't say, yes, we have to be aware. It's not a sign of a worry. It's not a worry thing, but it's more about be vigilant, right? It's like you're driving a car on the road. We don't need to worry, but we have to be very vigilant and watch. That's exactly what we do here.
Yeah.
And what are some practical, immediate steps that can be taken to protect my children online? So it probably links into the last one as well.
I can take that. So, like I mentioned, it's dependent on age. So I have my youngest child. He's going to be 10. He doesn't have a device yet. He can use our devices when we are with them. That's one way of restricting them, because that's the tender age where they can't even comprehend what they see, what they understand, what the threats are. So when they are in secondary, so when my elder one started secondary, we introduced him with a smartphone. We didn't introduce him with a smartphone. It was a brick phone. So we explained clearly that the idea of him having the phone is for us as parents to contact him and for him to contact us. You don't need to browse through while you are at school. You are going to school for which he took it and very positively. And he's quite, he got his first smartphone this year when he started year 9. He's quite happy and he's very responsible, which is quite important as parents. We see that that positive enforcement and like awareness we created over the years paying off. So making sure that that you are in that journey with them, that's it. I think for me, that's important. That's the most important thing. Gagan, do you want to add something to that?
No, I think this is absolutely right. I mean, as I said, there's going to be a multi-dimensional approach rather than going in one direction. I think that's
exactly.
You described it well.
Yeah.
Okay, last question. How can I teach my child to recognize and avoid online scams, phishing attempts, or suspicious links?
Well, I can take that, Aditi. Please add. I think, as I said, one of the most important thing that has worked for me is actually discussion with them. I mean, as I said before, I have done this many times where we get scammed and we actually discuss with my kids. Look, this is what I received, and it's absolutely it's fake. Now, interestingly, what I have noticed is kids actually, they do identify themselves. So, for example, I do get questions from my kids, hey, I received this. What do you think? You mentioned something the other day. So, yeah, you're right. It is a scam. So just be careful. The second thing, the kids are very conscious these days, and I think that's actually part of the learning they're getting from school. In fact, also based on discussion with their parents, is how much I reveal about myself online, right? So many platforms they go to, they have been asked, like, put date of birth, put all those sort of information. So it's not about what they add and what they don't add. They're actually questioning that, should I actually give my details, right? Mm-hmm. And for me, that's the biggest thing, right? That's more important. Whether you give or not, that's a different question, depending on which platform you are. But they are questioning. I think what would be a very successful strategy is actually you make them think that, do I actually do it or not? And I think that actually works really well.
Yeah. Yeah, you can discuss, I'll add on, like you can discuss common red flags, like you mentioned, phishing scenarios, I come from India, and there's a lot of, there's documentaries as well. You can, very informed, very useful documentaries, and you can discuss that, that it's just at a click that people get scammed. So having that open conversation and discussing what's happening around you will help and go a long way.
Great. Thank you very much, both. So as we wrap up today's insightful session, I'd really like to thank our fantastic Protiviti speakers, Gagan Arora and Reethi Harish, for sharing their expertise and knowledge. Just to highlight a few key topics from this webinar, we've looked at the challenges with children and social media. We've discussed identifying online risks, inappropriate content and cyberbullying, and we've covered establishing rules for keeping children safe online. We hope you have found these insights informative and actionable. As mentioned earlier, this is the 4th of 5 cyber awareness webinars we're hosting. So please join us for our final webinar session next week on how to protect yourself from common cyber security scams. So that's Wednesday 30th at 1 p.m. BST. Oh, it's not BST, it's GMT, I think, next week. If you haven't already, please select the QR code on the screen to register to this webinar series. And if you've got any further questions, we'll be sending out a follow-up email after this webinar, which you can respond to. Once again, thank you all for joining us today, whether it's through implementing today's tips or sparking discussions with peers about cybersecurity awareness. Your engagement makes a difference. I hope you're looking forward to next week's webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.